the citation.
Okay, at this point, I'm going to talk a little bit about the test in general, and then I'm going to show you how the review that we're doing is going to work. First of all, your test, there are 24 questions. There are going to be 4 points for each question. A 4 is a perfect score. You've got your work shown, everything is correct. A 3, you made minor errors. A 2, you either made major errors or multiple errors. A 1, I tried to find something that I could give you credit for. And a 0 means you just recopied the problem or didn't do any work that ultimately would help to get you the answer. Now, on the test, when you take it on Monday, you will have to keep all of your work on the confines of the test copy. I will grade those in this 4-point rubric. Then we probably will go over them Wednesday instead of Tuesday. Now, again, you've got to show your work on these, and I'll have you submit that to me or give those to me. Now, what I want to do next is I want to go through every problem on the test in order. And for each problem, for example, problem number 1, I'm going to tell you that it has a citation of page 111, problem numbers 5 through 22. Now, what I'm doing is I'm giving you look-alike problems out of the book. So you go to the book, we're in chapter 1, and I'm also going to tell you generally what kind of a problem it is, which it's square root of a negative, or in other words, a complex number. Now, I said the citation would be page 101, or 111 rather. So I'm scrolling down through chapter 1 until I get to page 111. There's 108, 109, 110. Okay, page 111. Now, I gave you as part of the citation problems 5 through 22. So in other words, problems 5 down through problem 22 would be a possible look-alike problem. Now, on this particular one, I'm going to tell you straight up, 5 through 11 is actually more realistic for problem number 1. So now that you know how to look up what I'm referring to in my citations that I give you, given that information, then I will go through each of the problems in order at this time. Okay, problem number 2. Problem number 2 is where you have a division of radicals, and it may or may not involve negative radicals or square roots. And your citation is page 111 again, problems 19 through 22. And as this paper I'm waving around, that's the actual test answer sheet, which has the my citations written on it. Okay, problem number 3. It again is a radical problem where you're going to have to put your answer in A plus BI format. So that implies that it's going to be a complex. page 111, number 37 through 40. Problem number 4. Do you remember the powers of I that we did? I did a whole 2 pages of them. Well, this is one of those types of problems. I'm just going to make up a number right now. This isn't the actual test item, but it might be I to the 18th or I to the 27th, and you have to simplify that. The citation is page 112, problems 41 through 44. Problem number 5 is a distributive property using imaginary numbers. Page 112, problems 55 through 57. Page number, or problem number 6 is a FOIL or double distribution, but basically a FOIL problem where you have A plus BI components. Page 112, number 59 through 64. Number 13 is division of binomials, imaginary or complex binomials. Now, if you remember on these, you have to multiply top and bottom by the conjugate of the denominator and then simplify. Page 113, problem numbers 113C and 114C. Problem number 8, a rational equation. A rational equation, in this case with all real number denominators. Got to remember to show me what your least common denominator is. Page 91, problem number 26. Problem number 9, I give you a quadratic equation and you need to factor it by whatever method you want to factor it. You can use, if you know the AC method or one of those, you're welcome to use it. If you want to use my cross product method, that's what I would recommend. But as long as you do correct work shown, you will get full credit, assuming that you don't make errors. Now, there is some information on page 49 through 51 about factoring, not in the method that I showed you. And then on page 57, problems 23 through 36 is your actual citation. Page 57, number 23 through 36. Problem number 10. This is an equation where I instruct you to use the quadratic formula. Remember to write the quadratic formula down in base form first, then show your substitution with parentheses, then finish solving it. Your citation is page 124, problems 51 through 62. Number 11, I give you a quadratic equation. The directions say, use the discriminant to determine the type and number of solutions. For example, are there going to be 2 rational solutions, 2 imaginary solutions, 1 rational solution, or 2 irrational solutions, or imaginary? Okay, so The citation on this, page 124, problem 97 through 102. Problem 12. The directions say solve the equation by using the square root property. That's where you square both sides, cube both sides, fourth power both sides, whatever. And when you take the square root both sides, remember you have to do plus or minus. The citation is page 123, problems 25 through 30. Problem number 13. I give you a quadratic equation, and I'm going to give you a cheap hint. You're going to have to use the quadratic formula because the C term is a prime number. Okay, page 124, problems 55 through 65. Oh, by the way, on that one, I'm going to warn you, you're going to get an A plus BI type of answer. Okay, problem number 14. I give you a quadratic equation. You've got to do some simplification first and then solve it. Page 124, problems 55 through 65. Again, number 15. Okay, number 15 is a rational equation. That means fractional. And this time they're binomials and a trinomial that you'll have to factor first in the denominator. Then you find the least common denominator, multiply it by every term. Your citation is page 93, problems 55 through 59. Problem number 16. Again, it is a rational equation. Actually, 16 is easier than 15, much simpler. Remember to find the least common denominator, multiply by every term, and then simplify. Your citation is page 93 again, and problems 49 through 52. Number 17, another rational equation, about halfway in difficulty between number 15 and 16. Once again, find least common denominator, multiply by every term and simplify. Okay. You may have to use the quadratic formula to finish this problem, or you may be able to factor it. Okay, so actually you can factor what you get after you multiply through and simplify, but it may be faster to use the quadratic. That's up to you. Okay, page 92, problems 45 through 48. Problem 18, an absolute value problem. Remember, on absolute value, you have to first isolate the absolute value on one side. Then you have to remove the absolute value and do plus or minus for the right side, and then simplify. Page 141, number 35 through 39. Problem number 19. This is a radical equation, meaning it has a square root in it. And I'll wait till my grandfather clock finishes. Okay, remember the steps. First, you isolate the radical on one side. Then you square both sides and simplify. Your citation is page 142, problems 55 through 62. Problem number 20. This time you have two radical equations, or two radicals in your equation. So you're going to have to isolate one radical, square both sides, simplify it, and then isolate the second radical, square both sides, and isolate it and work it. And this is probably the most difficult problem on the test. But just take your time. Okay, the citation is page 142, number 67 through 69. Problem 21. This is a fractional power equation, or you could call it a rational root equation. Remember, you have to simplify and get your one term on the left, then multiply by the reciprocal on both sides, and then simplify. Page 142, number 73 through 80. Number 22. I give you a fourth power equation where you have to use that u equals something to substitute. Okay, we did quite a number of these. So you're doing factor with substitution. Now, there's some information on this on page 141. There is also some on page 57, problems number 69, 70, and 35. Problem 23. It's just a linear inequality, and you're going to have to write the solution set in interval notation. Okay, you can write it in set notation, but the 4 points is going to be based on interval notation, and you also have to graph it, and I provide a number line for you. The citation, page 153, problem number 33 and 34. Remember to watch out for little details like you use a bracket or a parentheses, depending on whether it's or equal or just an inequality. Number 24, solve the compound inequality, graph the solution set, and give the answer in interval notation. Okay, we did a number of those. You may work at both ends against the middle, but I would suggest you work it as two separate problems the way I showed you. Page 153, number 37 through 39. Now, I know earlier I said there were 24 problems. There are 25. And problem number 25, the instructions are solve the absolute value inequality, give the solution in interval notation, and graph. So remember, when you remove the absolute value, you've got to do the plus and minus. When you do the minus sign, you've got to flip symbol. Page 154, problems 47 through 55. Now, that's the sum of the problems on the test and where the study material is for those. Now, let's talk about actually taking the test physically. Since the vast majority of you are taking the test in person on Monday, I know class starts at 11:30. However, if you are there as early as 11:15, I will let you begin as soon as you get there. That'll allow you to have an extra 15 minutes of test time. I cannot allow you extra time at the end because there's another class that will be coming in immediately after mine. So if you want to get there at least 15 minutes earlier, or if you get there maybe by 10 after, get settled in, and then actually begin the test at 11:15, that will be acceptable. If there are any questions, leave me a chat message. Otherwise, I'll see all of you physically on Monday, except for the person who I've made exceptions with. And so have a good weekend. In terms of my furnace, repairman came out. He had to order the part, so we can't have the furnace until Tuesday. Fortunately, I have a 2-story house and the ground floor furnace is working, even though the upstairs furnace is not. So we're not totally unheated. Have a good weekend. Okay, Kennedy, I'm going to give you the citation for number 17 again. Let me look it up. Okay, on number 17, the citation was page 92, number 45 through 48.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good weekend.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.